Hello, is that okay? Okay. So, okay. So, hello everybody. How are you on this wonderful summer's morning, or autumn morning even? Yeah? And 2 days ago in Dublin, we left a typical summer's day. It was raining, very strong winds, a bit of hailstones. And then we arrived here to some beautiful weather. It's so refreshing. I wish we could sort of move my home and office to Rome. Love Italy. So, empowering educators. That's really what this whole presentation is about. It's what Moodle is about. And you'll see it's on our t-shirt as well. It's very much who we are and what we do, and also what the product itself does. So this presentation is going to go through all of those aspects and to explain where we are now and where we are going as a project and as a community. So our mission in Moodle has been refining the words to really capture what we are talking about and what we are trying to do. And our mission, it is about empowering educators to improve the world. And it isn't just to change it, it is to improve it. Through education, people are more informed, they're able to make better critical decisions, understand the differences between fake news and lies, or sorry, real news and lies or fake news. And so education is crucially important to our future and our present. And to do that, our vision is then to give the world the most effective learning platform. And it's about being effective. You know, you can have a platform with lots of different things, but if it doesn't actually work from a teaching point of view, from a learning point of view, that doesn't make sense. And so Moodle has always been around the teaching. It's around the pedagogy. And why? So if you go really high up in the air, whether you're in Dublin or whether you're in Rome, you'll eventually see this. So this is us. This is our world. There's one of it. And so what does that mean for us as a people, as a world? Well, as a species, we're doing okay on some of those basic things. Over time, we've seen poverty decline to some extent. We've seen education. More people are being educated. Across the world now, the equality in education, where women are being educated and men, and poor and rich. So that's all being improved somewhat over time. Literacy as well. There's still a lot of people who have literacy problems, but that is becoming a smaller issue. So we are improving these. Democracy? Well, it shows it's going up, but I think I'm English, just to explain. So I live in Ireland, so I was watching the English, yeah? I was watching the English people vote away my right to live in Ireland with Brexit, and then of course Trump. So one wonders about, are we making those improvements on democracy? And then child mortality has been going down, at least in some countries. However, the UN has these 17 big goals that we're trying to tackle. There's still major things that we need to work on as a people, as a world, together. And it isn't going to be something that's just happens. We can have these goals, we can have wishful thinking, but unless something is there to help enable that to happen, we're not going to improve our world. But we need to go beyond where we are now to go towards those. And if you look at some of the big issues, the really big issues, so inequality, massive problems now. You have the rich getting richer, you have the poor getting poorer, and that's just increased since 2007, 2008. This refugee crisis, whether it be from war, whether it be from economic problems, or whether it be from natural disasters, there's a lot of movement of people where they're not in their home countries anymore, and their home countries maybe don't exist in the way that they used to. So we have a massive global crisis. We've equally a crisis in data privacy and ownership, where large corporates probably know more about you than you do. And what are they doing with that information? What was it? There's one of the social media giants has more photographs mapped to names than any government on the planet using their facial recognition software. These are big. So who owns that? Surely a corporate shouldn't be owning this kind of data. Then you've got healthcare quality. Healthcare access is great, but it's about this equality of, do you only get the best stuff if you can pay for it? Food and water security. Any of these natural disasters throw that into question. How willing are we to share that food, water, resources? And then, of course, climate change, which is contributing to that. These storms, this bad weather events have been accelerating. Places are getting hotter that never were, although Ireland isn't really doing that. Maybe we're getting the rain from everywhere else. And then automation, and this is one of my personal things that I feel quite strongly on. If you think about the last 20 years, what has been automated as a job? Everything from a petrol station, going into a bank. There used to be 6 people behind the counter. There's now 5 computers and 1 person. And you have to do it this way, or you have to go online. And this is where technology is literally usurping people. It's replacing people. It's not there to support or empower them. It's actually to do the opposite. You go into a supermarket now, the same thing as banks. You might have 1 person actually taking goods and dealing with people, and you have a bank of 20 automated ones where you scan your own food. But each time you do that, the extra percentage that they don't pay in salary is profit. They're not giving you a 10% discount. They're not helping you. They're making you do their job. So automation is starting to really challenge jobs and what we know of as jobs. And they call it this democratization of employment. It's just talking about making people unemployed, self-employed. And then education quality. There are a lot of people who want to basically take education as we know it, package it in a SCORM object. Sorry, I have nothing against SCORM. I like SCORM. But package it into an object and then just push that out. So it's something where, or they just want to replace technology with AI, and you don't need teachers anymore. Just give them content and have an AI bot talk to them instead. And is this a good use of technology? So how do you solve these problems? At the moment, we are, even in our own countries, we're struggling with identity. We're struggling with cohesion within our countries, be it on the left or the right, the poor, the rich. So you need to be this globally oriented people. You need to start thinking of the world as one place, not, well, I'm from Dublin, so I don't care about Galway, which is on the west of Ireland. It needs to be multiculturally aware. You know, it's not, everyone's culture can't necessarily exist together, or maybe it can, but you have to be aware of other cultures. You have to understand them and appreciate them. You have to be an environmentalist. Our planet isn't going to be here. So if you actually care about the future of the people on this planet, by default, you must be an environmentalist. You can't be otherwise. You must be a caring citizen. You must care about other people. As a teacher, you must care about your students. As an IT department, you must care about the people who are using your system. And as humans, we must care about our neighbours. And not just next door, but in the world. And if you had everyone described like this, I think we'd start solving these problems. But to get there, it's about education. Unless you've got this equality and access to education, this is not as possible. Unless you're educating people about the different cultures, about the different religions, about the different countries, about the environmental impact. How can they make decisions? unless they understand that bigger picture, unless they're made aware, unless they're globally oriented. So therefore, it can't even just be about education in one subject. We can't just all be specialists. I can be a maths professor, that's great, but I need to understand the environment. I need to understand the multicultural impacts. I need to understand all of these aspects to truly be this new citizen. So I need to have education across all of these, and it's about lifelong learning as well. I remember some people of my prior generation would sort of think, hey, we get our degree, and at 27, education over. And of course, then, nowadays, people think, oh, I've got my second degree, I've got my master's, that's it. Doesn't happen. Education is this constant, evolving aspect that we're involved in and that we experience every day. So who can tackle this problem with education? Can governments tackle it? What are their goals with education? So they want to usually get elected. That's usually what the government's primary goal is to get re-elected in 4 or 5 years' time. Not always. Sometimes you've had the case in Ireland recently where one government made huge decisions that they knew were going to destroy one of the parties. And they did. It completely destroyed them. They were wiped out. They had 2 people left out of 15 in one of the parties. But they made big decisions for the future of Ireland. How many governments are willing to make those long-term decisions which are so fundamental? Because they're scared they're going to be out of a job. And the people who come in might change it all. And a lot of the voting now, it doesn't matter who you vote for because they're all this short-term. They're looking for something for a quick win, that fast return on investment. They want to see stuff which, tough decisions in year 1 and in year 4, decisions to give people stuff so they vote again. And it has to be economic. You constantly hear in Ireland, there's not enough IT people. There's 5,000 jobs available. What you don't hear is those 5,000 jobs are for people who are, now this is in Ireland, people who are native foreign language speakers with 2 degrees and 5 years experience and under 30. We call them 6-legged horses. But they're trying to morph more and more into jobs. And then the government is trying to train these. I'm trying to say, well, education's about training. We want more IT people now. And it isn't necessarily about our future. Can big business fix education? What's their goals? What's their drivers? I mean, they're looking about profit. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you have some big businesses which do good as well, but they are ultimately beholden to their shareholders. And they want more profit, they want dividends, they want growth. And even when you do have growth, like Pearson, for example, huge company, was profitable, but it wasn't profitable enough. And it's shed, what, 12,000 staff over the last 2 years. One of them is my colleague in the Moodle partnerships team, Garnet Berry, but they were successful, they were profitable, but not profitable enough to keep shareholders happy and keep the market happy. Everything is supposed to be self-balancing, but that's only if there's already some sort of balance of power already. If you aren't educated, how do you know who to talk to, who to lobby, how to get involved? If you aren't informed and don't have access to what's going on, you can't get involved. If you don't understand the impact of it, you have turkeys voting for Christmas. I don't know, is that a phrase you would be used to here? No? And this number, I think, is crazy. So in a short space of time where you had 5% of the population in the US, they had 25% of the world's wealth and 30% of the resources for 5%. Because this is, you know, Silicon Valley isn't there to solve the problems. If you go to a lot of technical educational conferences, you see all of these products which are there basically to replace either you as a system administrator, outsource all of your IT into the cloud, it's automated, you don't need any IT people, outsource your teaching, outsource your learning, outsource your assessment. It's not there to support, it's there to disrupt. There's little incentive for any of them to look after the whole thing. It's like in the medical arena. They don't tackle any of the things where people are necessarily don't have the money to pay for those medicines, because it is about return on investment. So for the 1%, it's glass is 99% full. For them, so last year, the top 143 people, top 143, had the same amount of wealth as 50% of the planet. 143, 50%. Now, it's 5 people have the same as 50% of the world in income, in value. That's a really scary concentration of wealth. And they're only interested in continuing that. And those businesses and that financial drive is about this. It's about disrupting what's there. Education's broken. Replace it. Here, use these cool things, use our app, use our whatever it might be, replace your staff, and then they control it. They'll have the data, they'll have everything. It's not about empowering you, it's not about letting you do your job better. It's about you not doing your job and letting them do it. But this is the language of people who are profit-seeking. They're not about supporting. It's a different mission. This is different. It's about supporting. It's about nurturing. It's about helping people improve as teachers, as administrators, as people who are delivering. And this is the language that we prefer at Moodle. I mean, Moodle as an organization, we're spread around the world, which I'll come to. But it is about understanding, that's about strengthening this. It is about actively supporting and nurturing. There's a lot of open things now out there. There's open government, open data, open educational resources, open learning. And all these open projects around the world have similar things about them. It's about people thinking outside of just their interests, outside of their country's interests, their business interests. They build things that outlast a government or outlast a company. There are some OERs out there that those projects that created them no longer exist. Those people are doing other things. But those learning tools that they built for people are still available. And Moodle, being open, shares a lot of this, and we are open source, and that's not going to change. And that's a really important thing to realize, that even though things are changing around us, Moodle being open source isn't going to change. We're committed to that level of openness. But we are going to start working on trying to get more involved with the community and get the community more involved with us and with the overall project. So these are sort of some of our thoughts on how you go about empowering educators. So quality education is a basic human right worldwide. There's a lot of different schools and universities around, but the best one should be the one that's just beside you. You shouldn't have to be traveling all around the world for it. It's the one that's down the road that know you, that know your locality, and keeps you within that supportive network of the people that you know. How many people here are teachers? Okay, a few. So this one is really important, and you often see teachers treated so differently, but they should be respected like a doctor. They should be respected like celebrities. You're all Kardashians, maybe not. But you should be, but teachers are often not respected. They're treated like, no, you're basically social workers for our children. It's not something that you have the same level of respect. I know in Ireland there's a lot of teachers who are on 9-month contracts every year, not even on full-time jobs. But then you have to support teachers as well. Because you don't just throw them out there and let them get on with it. You have to support them. You have to give them the right tools. to achieve what they want to do with teaching, because they are the teacher, not the platform. And then you have to promote this global view, this cross-cultural, have communities coming together. That's one of the things about being an open source project. These are the kind of things that we see within the project. We have developers and translators, we have educators from all around the world working together to make Moodle what it is now. So this brings us back to our mission and vision. But this isn't enough. We have to do something to implement this. And that's where our values come in. And we strive for these in everything that we do, to give our mission this moral compass, this moral direction. It's about education, it's about openness, it's about respect. Don't have to necessarily agree with people, but it's about respect. It's about integrity. And it's also about innovation. There are 1,300 plugins in the Moodle plugin database. That's how much innovation people are currently doing with how they teach on Moodle. It's not a solution, it's a platform that people customize and bend to their needs. And if it hasn't got what it wants, they can build on top of it. And that's the beauty of open source. And a lot of those plugins are based around assessment. So they're able to innovate in different types of assessment than what they currently do and what's currently available. So innovation is really important both in teaching and then within the open source project. And we have 84,000 registered sites. There's a lot of sites not registered. I think there's more like 250, 300,000. So we have great responsibility to all of these people, and in Europe and everywhere else, looking after Moodle. So here's some news. It was announced yesterday, but you might not have seen it. We've been trying to look for ways to grow faster. So our Moodle partner network, people like Andrea from MediaTouch, they're the people who fund Moodle currently, for the most part, 95% or more. So the Moodle partners, when someone goes to Andrea and says, hey, we want some Moodle training, 10% of that comes back to Moodle, so we can hire more developers to help look after the product and keep it growing in what it is now. But there's lots of other projects that we want around Moodle that we were looking to start working on as well. So we've been looking for a different sort of investment, and talking to a lot of people about how we can get someone involved who's interested in our mission, who's not profit-driven, who isn't short-term driven, who's knowing that this is a long play. And so yesterday we finally announced that we found one. And this is a family that's based in France, the Leclerc family. They have a small investment arm which is focusing on education. So it's called Education for the Many. They're also involved in Decathlon, which is a sportswear business. But they were looking for something to contribute in the education space, and it isn't about making a profit. So there's been a small amount of Moodle, the company behind it has been sold to them, so they have a share in that, and they've invested 6 million into Moodle, not to take over Moodle, and Moodle and Martin retains control in the company completely. But what it's about, if you read there, this is a quote from Julian. They want to be part of the community. They want to be involved in helping achieve that mission. And this is about giving us some escape velocity. It's about giving us a jump start on these other projects. It's about time to make Moodle amazing. It's a brilliant platform right now, and the community is awesome. But we want to try and bring the whole thing around Moodle further. And so this is what we're looking at. These are 5 big projects, some of them which you'll already know about. You have Moodle Cloud, which is our small, cheap Moodle hosting for like a teacher who wants to have a class on there by themselves. MoodleNet, which I'll talk about in a moment. Learn Moodle, which has been our MOOC, but that's evolving. And then Moodle Services, which is all the Moodle partners. But it's all Moodle. It's not just the software. Because right now we have Tracker, we have Learn Moodle, we have Docs, we have all of these things. So we're trying to structure it a little bit more. So Moodle itself, our focus is still going to be on the same area. It's about usability. It's about integrations. It's about seamless consistency and active participant learning. This is what we're looking at. It isn't about, we're not going to be changing what we're doing there, we're just going to be improving it and really working on that. And people have changed how they use Moodle. Some are on desktops, some are now on iPads. It's a great mobile app. Could be VR. Could be changing in many ways. And Moodle will change, how it's used will change significantly. So Moodle has to adapt, but it has to cater for all of these options. And for VR, you know, we're thinking more around how VR will work with Moodle. So it might be a bit like LTI, where people are using a VR app, but the recording of it goes in so a teacher then can review it and grade it. So it's the output. It's like, it's more like an external tool. We're not thinking of having a VR experience where you're inside Moodle. That could be a bit weird. And in 3.4, and Andrea will be talking about it more later, we're focusing on the existing features to improve them, things like calendar, combining the participants and enrollments page. So we've been two pages which sort of do similar but sort of do different. We're now making them one just to make it easier for teachers. And also we have our analytics engine, the Inspire project. So it is all about usability that we're really very much focusing on. And 3.5, which is for next year, is going forward again. Better integrations, more implementation of standards, and really improving that user experience. It's like with the mobile app. How many people here use the mobile app currently for Moodle? Wow, okay. So come along to me later and I'll show you how it works, and I can give you a test login, but it's something that it does change the student experience a lot, really improves it. So the mobile app, this is what it currently looks like on a phone. But one of the big things is that there's 100%, all of those activities and resources now fully work on the mobile app. And most of them work offline. So you can, as a teacher, can let your students download all the content within the app in their course, and while they have no Wi-Fi, sitting on the beach, up in a plane, they can be reading through all of their resources or listening to those videos without being online. So it's absolutely huge change in how students can engage with your platform. You can also, if you want to have branding, you can have your own mobile app that we do for people. We work with Andrea and the guys at MediaTouch, and we will then create a branded app. So if you look on our iTunes account, you'll see stuff like Dublin City University. They have one called DCU Loop. So rather than Moodle Mobile, they have their branded version of the mobile available to them. And it is just the standard app, but it's branded, it's given its own name, and it's a service that we provide from Moodle HQ itself. And it's published by our account. And it's also using our notification server, which is the messaging between Moodle and the app. Recently, we also released Moodle Desktop. So if you have Windows or a Mac or a Linux laptop, you can have it there. So equally, you can offline all of that content, SCORM objects, for example, and you can play them offline. And when you go back online, they will sync back the grades, sync back the data. You can prepare a forum post offline, and then it will send it back to Moodle when you go back online onto Wi-Fi. This really enables students much more. It's about this learning any place and any time, anyhow they want to, not just restricting them to their desktop. The other project we were talking about was Project Inspire. This is a data analytics project where we are creating a brain within Moodle using machine learning. And it's going to be within the Moodle install, so it's going to be in this next version, where it's going to help teachers look at things like the activity within a Moodle course, help identify students at risk. And what we're looking for is organizations to help share their anonymized Moodle data, completely anonymized, to help train this brain. So it can understand what a good Moodle course is, what good engagement looks like based on the learning outcomes within those courses. So please come along and talk to me if you're interested in that. This would be really valuable, especially for any of your universities, if you'd like to take part in this research. We're going to be opening a Moodle Foundation here in Europe. We're going to be trying to get involved in more of these research projects, and also try and encourage and stimulate research within Moodle. A lot of Moodle is used within a lot of Moodle is used as the tool within these research projects constantly seeing these presentations in these short 3-year projects and then it vanishes. We want to try and get involved there, so if there's something really good being created, that we're actually then able to maybe consider maybe that feature should be in core, maybe it should be in the plugin database to help sustain these projects and the great work that they do. And so we're talking to a few at the moment, but that's what this foundation will be, focused on this type of engagement. With Moodle Cloud, it is this cheap hosting. It's just a standard Moodle. You can't add plugins or anything to it. It's at the free version, maximum 50 users in total, not active, in total. So it's really aimed at a teacher and their small class. And then you can buy a few small levels, available up to only, again, 1 gigabyte of space. So it's really sandboxes where people can explore the current version of Moodle. And it's constantly up to date, but it's limited in what it is. It just is that core Moodle with a few extra plugins we put in. And it's always mysite.moodlecloud.com. And this helps people. So we've over 20,000 of these sites out there now that we're enabling those teachers who don't have the funds there to get their own full LMS, that they're able to still use technology. Oops. So Learn Moodle was this MOOC for an introduction into Moodle. Well, now we're changing this. So we're building a full curriculum of how to do online teaching in the different ways. It's going to be worldwide, it's going to be multilingual. It's also going to have a certification process. There are going to be multiple levels involved. And also where people want to, and they're teaching online teaching or education, it's something where they can look at including this in curriculums. And it's looking at these paradigms of the different kind of teaching. This is not how to use an activity. This is why. It is the pedagogical side of Moodle, or online teaching. So whether it's scholarly academic type of course that you're running, where it's about scholars, it's about qualitative content, so it's like a degree course, or maybe it's something where it's social efficiency, where you're looking at maybe coaching new managers or coaching leaders, or where it might be learner-centered, more self-paced CPD type work, or social reconstruction, where it's all of these course types have different tools that they might use. And so that's what we're going to be looking at, how to achieve these. And part of that will be obviously in association with the Moodle partners. You'll be able to chat to Andrea about this in a few months once we launch it. But also then with the Moodle services. So this is the team which I currently head up in the Moodle partnership side. But it's about working with partners and also integration partners. We'll be announcing very soon 2 integration partners that we have that through our Moodle partners, those integrations will be available or also available on Moodle Cloud. And this is about connecting users with good services. So when they get Moodle, they can get Moodle plus these extras in one deal, one package, rather than having to buy from 12 different suppliers. So that they can get the whole learning ecosystem in one go. And also we're involved in working with partners on large projects like government projects or national projects, which we weren't before, but now we're very much being involved in that area to help support partners and governments, and even in Europe on these pan-European projects. This is one of the biggest change. Who here has an account on Moodle.org? In the Moodle forums? Wow, okay. So that is the center of where the Moodle community is. There's nearly, 2 million users on that site. So we're going to make improvements on that and change it into where it's this global social network for all teachers who use Moodle. And really get that social network available to them from within their normal Moodle as well, where the administrator wants to let that happen. But it's going to be integrated there and made available. So when people want to get a video about how to do something, it's there. If they have a question, they can ask from their own site into Moodle and really connect these together so teachers don't feel that they're alone. It's about creating this global supportive network. And one of the key things here is about the sharing and creation of learning resources as well and content. So that if you're in your Moodle site and you're creating a course on mathematics or statistics, and when you go to add a resource, it says, well, these are the ones that are available within MoodleNet. And you can just grab these pieces of content in, or that question bank in, or maybe a SCORM object, whatever it might be. And so that's how it all looks put together. But one more thing. So as I said, Moodle is primarily based in Perth. That's where Martin Dougie-Amos, the founder of Moodle, lives. And so that's where the main office is. However, we have 3 people in Dublin. We have, I think it's 5 people now, 6 people in Spain. And there's a few people in other countries. So what we are doing is things are changing. We're going to be beefing up our office in Barcelona and to really have a stronger European presence. And we're going to be busy bees. We've got all these projects. We're going to be really working hard on so many of these different things. And one of the things, obviously, you can get involved as well. This is a project which goes beyond just Moodle HQ and the Moodle partners. You have translators, plugin developers, content creators, everyone being involved. And sometimes universities don't have time for their staff to be involved at that level. And sometimes they actually just fund projects within Moodle. So, for example, in the last few years, user tours. Is anyone here using user tours in Moodle? Okay. This is where on the interface, it will walk a student through what's on their dashboard. Hey, here's your list of courses, here's your profile menu, and so on. So that was funded by a university. And then we also had another university in the States fund big improvements to the notifications and messaging. So universities can also help us with that sort of funding. And also, it's about using Moodle partner services or get a branded app. Join those. I mean, we've got, I think, more than a dozen now, and it's just constantly growing in how many people are using it, so they have their own version of the app. I know you have your own Italian user association as well, which is great now that it's together, and it's wonderful to have coordinated on this Moodlemoot. I think it's really important that within a country like Italy, where you have such a rich and active community, that you do have an association. But also we have a global association as well. And this is one where institutions can become members, and they can vote on core changes in Moodle. So that you can propose an idea, and if other people then vote that up within that association, then you can actually get to see that change going in. And so the new dashboard in Moodle came from that. The calendar changes came from that. So it's not everything, it's just about the membership budget, but it is something, consider that as well. And as I said, so who here is a statistics or learning analytics data nerd? Put your hand up. Okay, I think there's like 4 of us, that's okay. So all of us, we're all using Moodle, but out there, when you look at learning analytics research, most of them are using Moodle, mainly because Moodle has this excellent data set, easy access to its database, and it has this great logging. The joke I always tell is sort of like every click you take, Moodle's logging you. And so Moodle is being used within these, but then you need to share that research back. When you do a paper and publish, you also want to make sure you go to research.moodle.net, which is a public access repository, upload your paper there, submit your presentation to us to share it with the world. Doesn't matter if it's in Italian or English or Greek or Irish. People can use translators nowadays. It's not a problem, so don't be shy. I was talking to someone yesterday who went, yeah, I've got 15 papers written about online learning, and most of it was using Moodle, but they're all in Italian. No problem, upload them. If people are interested, they will translate them. Google Translate, it might not be great, but it helps us who can't speak too many languages. And if you want a quick, small site for Moodle, then use Moodle Cloud. So if you want to do a small training session with 10 people, they can all get their own Moodle site, just like that. It takes a minute to get set up, and it's the very latest version of Moodle, so it's not a problem. You don't have to maintain it or host it or anything. Nothing to do with code. A student can do it. I know there was one class where they had 20 students who all had their own mobile phones, because that's how we just track that they're individual people. They just had all the students set up a Moodle Cloud site each to do their work in and to build like their portfolio and stuff within it. Oops. Another way, as I mentioned, when you work with Moodle partners, that's contributing to the project as well, because the money you spend, some of it comes back to fund Moodle. So if you're going to pay someone, paying a Moodle partner rather than someone who's not would be the better choice to help the Moodle project. But if you've got loads of ideas about different aspects of Moodle or something that you think could work, come and talk to me, get in contact. We want to hear them, we want to listen. And especially like with MoodleNet, I know one or two people already said, hey, we've some great ideas, we're doing something in the same space. Talk to us. We're here to listen. And as we mentioned though, because we're opening the foundation, if you are doing a grant proposal and you're planning to use Moodle, get us involved. We can help bring in that sustainability aspect to those projects so that it then helps in the value appreciation or when they're assessing those projects. Is that work just going to disappear afterwards, or does it have a continuity beyond the funding? So please include us. We're currently hiring in everything from project managers, someone overlooking and working with all of the dev teams and coordinating that. We're hiring people in all aspects of the company at the moment, and remote and obviously in Perth, and we'll be in Barcelona as well. So if you're really interested and motivated, then get in contact. To bring this back to the beginning, this is what we are striving for. We're trying to have a world where people are globally oriented. They're aware of this multicultural society and planet that we live on. Environmentalists, it's like privacy by default, environmentalists by default. If you're a human and you care about the planet, you must be an environmentalist. And caring citizens, we must care about each other, whoever we are. Thank you.